Greetings! I am Fire Lotus, and welcome back to another live Witches Chat. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that bell icon so you get all the notifications. And hi, hello, I'm Fire Lotus. I've been doing these for about 4 years now. I've been practicing a total of going on 19 years. Holy shit, I feel old. Yeah, but if you don't know, we kind of just, depending on where the comments go, we talk about what's going on in the stars, astrologically, paranormal, witchcraft-wise, spirituality. Good morning. Basically, we go over everything except for politics and kind of world events. We kind of stay away from that. But in general, this is just a kind of cool place. Hello! This is just kind of a cool place to hang out. And yeah, there's a lot that I have to talk about because, oh my god, the online place is just driving me a little bunkers. Also, I have a really quick update really quick. This right here has been brewing for, I think, like 2 weeks now. And as you can tell, the color has gotten extremely dark. For the people that don't know what this is an experiment that I'm doing, which is war water, but instead of using swamp water or lake water, I've actually used Jericho water from a Jericho rose. Kitty kitties. I have two planters outside, and they have some lilies in. They had lilies in them, and apparently one of the kittens just found it as an amazing bed. But so yeah, this has actually gotten darker. It's been on my altar. Now, some people would see this and actually suggest that somebody has actually thrown something my way. Obviously, it didn't work if they did. And the reason that I say that is because if you make war water and you keep it on your altar and it does, like, overnight dramatically change in color, that could be an indication that somebody has thrown something your way. And we all have to realize if we are on a public platform and we're doing stuff, we're pissing people off, we're having uncomfortable conversations, that's going to happen. Am I worried? No, because I have protection. So, anyways, okay. So let's dig in and talk about some things. So I was informed this morning around like 9 o'clock that there is a video going around that is saying tobacco is a closed practice. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, well, wait, where the fuck did this come from? It started with one conversation. That conversation regarding animal bones. Basically, the coyote bone conversation. Basically, and I'm not really going to put my personal stance on here, but I am going to kind of tiptoe around this without kind of throwing me under the bus. There was a conversation that happened, and out of that conversation, basically regarding bones and witchcraft, the natives have basically stated that anything that is native and only native to the United States, buffalo, coyote, they're basically closed unless you are a native practitioner. I'm assuming because natives also use tobacco in their ceremonies that somebody has got it in their head, and I guarantee you this person was not a native person, started and saying that it was closed. Now, I made a video stating that it's not closed because I'm sorry, this is the exact same argument that people tried to have when it comes to red brick dust and honey, which was basically a lot of people... I think it was last year, had a conversation that brick dust is closed because it's used in voodoo. The problem is, Egyptians used it way before people who practice voodoo did. So historically, it has been used worldwide throughout multiple cultures throughout history, so it cannot be closed. The same goes as... and me and my partner were joking last night, and I'm like, at this point, marijuana should also be closed because it originated from Asia, so, like, it should be closed. Now, obviously, that's a joke, but we're getting to this area where everything is closed. And the problem is, it can't. You cannot claim a hold on an herb. Now, yes, I know when it comes to the sage thing, I get that. We're not talking about sage. We're talking about fucking tobacco. Okay? No, it's not closed. Now, interesting, through that, the video that I made, somebody commented, and I loved it too, because I'd never thought about it. They're like, well, my husband smokes tobacco in a pipe. Does that mean he's smudging? And I was like, no, that's not considered smudging. But it's actually a really cool idea. Like, I'd never thought about that. But no, it's not closed. And I understand where the native side is coming from because a lot of things have been taken from them and sold from them, but there's one thing nobody asked. And this is where the confusion comes at. I've asked multiple times for natives to help me out with questions that I had. But me and my partner were talking about this, and I was trying to explain it because from what I understand when it comes to sage, California sage, it's some natives have said no, it's completely cut off unless you are a native. Other natives, on the other hand, have said no, you can use it as long as you resource it or get it from an actual native. But here's my question. If it's a closed practice, why are natives selling sage to companies that are outside of them? And yes, I know that a lot of people do go over there and they'll actually harvest it illegally, but how are you trying to tell us that something is closed, but as long as we buy it and source it from you, which I do understand, then we can use it? See, with this necklace right here, I did not know that the people that I bought it from, they're a native family. They're a native business of 70 years. They actually gave me white sage, pieces of it. It came in the necklace. Am I going to burn them? No. I'll wind up storing them in my box. Do I burn sage? Yes, but I burn culinary sage, to be exact. This right here, Dollar General, or I mean not Dollar General, the local grocery store where the herbs are at. Get this, it's like $2. Organic sage, it's literally like $2-3. Dry them out, crush them up, do whatever you do, and then bam, you got sage. And then I gotta look at that comment that I got. I smoke cleanse with my cigarettes in a pinch. Always have them with me. Honestly, I do too, but there's that argument that like all these cigarettes have so much fucking chemicals and stuff like that, and I'm thinking in my head, what doesn't have all these fucking chemicals? But the problem with this is it's causing so much fucking confusion, it's not even funny. Like recently, and before I say this, if you know who I'm talking about, I'm not talking bad about it or anything like that, but it's confused me. There's a creator on the app who was adopted, right? And they were native. They have been advertising that they are native. They're a part of this particular thing. They found the adoption papers and come to find out on the paper, legally, they are not native whatsoever. But yet, they're still claiming they're native, and the natives are appreciating it. So I'm like, wait, do we get to pick and choose now? Like, I'm very confused right now. And then, don't even get me started, because if you disagree with them, you're wrong and you're a colonizer right out the gate. And I'm like, now that's going to lead into the second part of this, which is something that nobody wants to talk about on the app. Actually, there are a couple of people who have been talking in the comments, which is the clicks. Why are we not talking about the clicks in witchcraft? What are you talking about? So I'm going to say there are about 5 to 6 big creators. And what I mean by these big creators is a while ago, these were the ones where other people were tagging them in videos to correct the person in that video. I actually have most of these creators blocked, 100% blocked, because do they give out great information? Yes. Do I like their cockiness, condescendingness? No. See, if you're going to be a teacher, you have to learn how to talk to somebody without talking down to them. Because if you come at me and you start talking down to me and you think that I'm just this fucking 4th grader, that's when we have an issue. I think there's something about being raised in traditions as opposite as picking it up. I'm new, so I'm not sure if all the clicks. And I agree with that. With the clicks, fuck it. I'm gonna drop at least one name, and I don't care. I have them blocked, and they have no idea who I am. Witchfoot. Witch fucking foot. It does not matter how many smaller creators can create the exact same video of trying to spread redness, trying to spread awareness or fix misinformation, and they go nowhere. But as soon as these bigger creators create it, boom, they go fucking viral. And it pisses me off because, yes, true enough, I understand we're in an area where there's really no such thing as an original idea. But these are the same people that a lot of people put on a fucking pedestal. Again, when I mention these names, I'm not really saying anything bad about them. I'm using this as an educational point. Cranky the Aunt Witch. Fucking everybody. But yet everybody forgot she's the one that they're the one that accidentally tweeted a joking tweet By the way, they did not state in anywhere, shape, or form that it was a joke. Hello. But they're the ones that tweeted out that, like, all these deities were going to go together and have a fucking war. And then she went on vacation for like a weekend and it blew the fuck up and it caused so much mass confusion. But yet, that's completely okay. But there have been other creators that have completely been basically off the app because of the bullying, because of the mass reporting and all this other shit. But yet, are we forgetting about all the controversial things that Witchfoot has said? Are we forgetting about all the other controversial things all these other creators have said? But yet they're not canceled. And if they are canceled, they create a profile and boom. And yes, I know some people that's watching this is like, oh, well, ego check. Yes, I know. I do need to check my ego. But here's the catch. I actually learn from my ego checks, unlike a lot of other people. Okay? And what I mean by these clicks is you'll have, like, we have the Witch Talk News back. Great. The problem is with the Witch Talk News, if you realize in all those videos, some of the only creators that are shown, Witchfoot, they're bigger creators. That's a click. And I don't have that. Even in our own community, the Lotus community, there's no clicks. We all realize that we're all on different levels and different pages of our journeys, and we've realized that we can actually all come together in a safe place and actually help each other, bounce ideas off each other. I have a good friend that we snap each other all the time, and most of our conversations are just bouncing ideas off each other. And that's what it's supposed to be. Like recently with this pastor in New York, in Tennessee, everybody's going back and forth. No, we shouldn't keep this quiet. No, we shouldn't do this. But yet they're feeding into that drama, basically, flexes, basically, of all these hexes and curses. Obviously, they haven't worked because nothing's happened to him, which means you're wasting energy. So as we're bitching back and forth with each other about this stupid fucking pastor, we're completely ignoring Ukraine. We could totally be doing protection spells on Ukraine as a whole, but are we? No. We're still bitching and complaining about a fucking pastor. Make it make sense, but yet we're supposed to be a witchy community that is supposed to help other people. Make it make sense. I've made so many videos that had so many great points on them, but they did not pop off because they were calling out so many people, including myself. I call myself out in my videos on a regular day basis. I just followed Witchfoot back because I felt that they were getting better, but I followed them with caution. Kind of, I personally just do not like that. I don't like their energy. They come off as too cocky. And I don't like that. Like, I understand you can believe in yourself fully. That's one thing. But to completely be cocky, that's two different things. And if you're going to be a teacher, you have to learn how to be able to talk to somebody, like I said before, without talking down to them. So many witch talkers are not from the South, so they don't realize how common. I guess that's what it is, because I'm like, and they're just feeding into it. Like, there have been 2 to 3 days this week where I've logged off the app completely because I'm tired of hearing the name. I'm tired of seeing the same videos over and over again. The more you talk about someone, the more you give them power and dominate over you, which feeds. Yes, exactly. I've said that so many times. I'm like, did we all forget about the exchange of energy? The more you talk about somebody, it's just like if somebody were to upset you. The more you let that person or that one event upset you throughout that day, the more you're completely giving away your power and giving it to them because you're letting somebody dictate how you feel. Oh yeah, definitely don't follow them to be taught. Exactly, do not follow them to be taught. Okay, now the question about the energy work. Yes, I fully saw that. Exactly. Okay, so with energy work, I have done a few videos on it already where I actually kind of break down the basics of what it is. But I'm an atheist, which means I believe everything from a rock to a tree to this glass jar or this glass vial has energy in it. I was feeling pretty yesterday, but like I said, my 2-part video about him, the attention he has bigger, he feels harder, and his eventual fall. Exactly, and I'm pretty sure it'll be within the next 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a month, that it'll fall. And it's just like the Trisha Paytas thing. She may still be on the witchcraft thing, but once everybody stopped talking about her and made her the center of attention, she went elsewhere. And now I'm actually happy to say I feel sorry for the child, but she's actually pregnant. She finally got pregnant, which is something she always wanted. That's fucking amazing. That's life. But with the energy work, I believe everything has its own energy. Now, to describe how energy feels, it's going to be hard because everybody feels it differently. Exactly. Mention, watch, move on, kind of monitor it a little bit to make sure it doesn't get out of hands, and then just move on and worry about your day. So with me, depending on the energy that I actually like tap into, it's like this tingling sensation. You know when your feet or your like hands go to sleep and you try to wake them up and you get that tingling sensation? It's kind of like that, just less painful. And then like with fire, water, again, the energy is going to feel different. I know I'm hoping the universe gives some of that push of luck with the baby. Same, like, obviously she's a brilliant woman though. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. She's fucking brilliant because she realized that she is a personality. You can cancel a person, you can't cancel a personality. And she even said that in her video. She's like, you can't cancel me. I'm a personality. I am a paid personality. And she knows that. Now, am I saying everything she's done is right? Fuck no. In no way, shape, or form. But she understood the internet. She understands media. There's no such thing as bad publicity because either or you're getting talked about. So, but with the energy things, the first thing you can do is rub your hands together and slowly pull them apart. That feeling you feel between that, metaphysically, it is your body's energy and chi. It's basically energy. Now, other people are going to be like, well, you just rub your hands together, so it's friction. You're opening it, the air cools it. Again, metaphysically, that is your own energy, right? So a cool technique is to rub your hands together, and if you can visualize, if you can't actually get a like plastic ball, you could totally do that too. But rub your hands together and then visualize a bubble. Like you're going to open your hands like this and then visualize a bubble forming. Now, in visualization with energy, you can actually visualize colors, so it helps better. And then think of a person, right? And then put intent, put emotions like healing, loving, happiness, stress relieving into that bubble, right? And you're going to get it as big as possible, and then you're going to kind of shift it out. And you're going to picture in your head that bubble kind of floating and reaching the person and hovering above the person. And then it's kind of like you're going to pop it or it cracks. So all the energy falls down on that person. They are so fun. They're so fun and they can work. My energy is so bad to control. Sometimes I feel mostly in my hands and my forehead. That means you have a very, very, I guarantee you have a very, very high or very, very open crown chakra. That's actually my biggest issue. I have and there's a trick that I'm about to tell y'all as well of how to do this. But really quick before I get to that, with the energy work, then a cool thing to do is get a plant. If my cats would stop messing with this, it would stand up straight. But get a plant, a small plant, and you're going to try to push your energetic body out of your physical body. Not like astrally, but just energetically, you're going to try to push your hand, your energetic hand, out from your physical body to touch the plant. Once you successfully connect your energy to this plant, you will know it. Trust me. Now, do that multiple times. Repetitiveness, repetitiveness is key with this. And then once you successfully do it with blah, 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 blah. When you successfully do it with ease, move on to something else. If you can't visualize, there are multiple things you could do. If you can't visualize, but you're still trying to kind of visualize without it, try to find a very, very thin, light fabric, right? Almost like a something thinner than a washcloth, almost like silk, right? Chants and mantras as well. And you could put that on your hand and literally start actually incorporating physical objects into what you're doing if you're having a hard time visualization. Mantras also work. You can find mantras online. You can create your own mantras. And that's something that's cool. And I never thought about that. And thank you for that. So mantras are extremely powerful. By the way, there is one on YouTube. Type in wish mantra and or money mantra. Now with the wish mantra, be very fucking careful with what you wish for because you're going to get it. I can do a story time or video story time on that and how I triggered a spiritual awakening that I did not want. And then the money mantra works really, really good if like you're a tipper or if you work somewhere where you get tips, it works very, very well. Now, remember, for the people that have like a... No! Hold that thought. My cat's being stupid. Okay, sorry about that. Gemini, the one of the older male cats fucking just tried to drag one of the kittens down the stairs by its neck. And I'm like, no, that's a cat. But yes, can you remotely tell what my energy sensitivity is right now? I could try. I've never tried before that far. Fuck it, let's see. Kind of heavy, kind of relaxed, kind of in between. And if I got that wrong, then it's okay, I got that wrong. But yes, technically like that work with the money mantra, and always remember, if you actually have like a 9-to-5 job, if you do money magic, that may actually the results of that is you being called in on your off days and you getting more hours to get you that money. Trust me, that's something I had to figure out. But if you're a waiter or anything like that, I have, let's see, we got 4 kittens, 2 female adults, and then technically counting the inside one, 3 male adults. And then Valentine, she will be busting, I'm pretty sure I'll give it like 2 or 3 weeks. It's so weird because most of my cats that actually give birth, they always do it either A, around a full moon, or B, around a holiday. The 3 kittens that I have now were actually born on Samhain of last year. I'm relaxed, correct. Oh, that is awesome! The last time I did a small money candle, I got overtime. Adam, do your throat issues or change your headaches? So they call. Yes, updates on the kittens. They did all come back. They came back, I'm assuming, in the middle of the night, and since then, they've actually just been staying on the porch or around my yard. So I'm definitely happy about that, but I wasn't asking that, lol. I was asking you to... Oh! Yes, I believe, anybody is energy sensitive. It just depends on if you've actually, like, tried to, we're gonna say scratch that itch or not. Like my partner, he's been trying to push away and like not admit that like he's gifted. And this year it's just slapping him in the face with how gifted he is. Yeah, move on to slightly bigger plants. Once you do that, move on to an actual like a cat or a dog or a kitten, and then move on to a person, and then move on to a tree. Once you get to a tree, you're gonna love that energy. The other thing I was gonna talk about. And I actually have something that I can demonstrate this with. Okay, so what you're going to do, you are going to need somebody else for this. You are going to lay flat on your back. And then you're going to need somebody with a steady hand. And what they're going to do is they're going to go through with a pendulum. They're going to be hovering over you. And you're going to pass that pendulum over all of your chakra systems that we are the Western chakra systems. And... I am definitely a full-time witch. Okay, false read on my part. No worries. And that always happens, trust me. But, yeah, what you're gonna do is you're gonna pass these over your chakras, right? And depending on how they move can indicate what chakras are blocked and then what chakras are overactively. Now, that's something they don't talk about. A lot of people are like, you need to clear your chakras. You need to clear them. I have both. Maybe wrong person. Oh, you may be picking up on somebody else's in the chat. That is cool. But yeah, do that and have them write it down. And with this, I've actually gotten an interesting result. Rest in peace, Wolf. But my really, really good friend and complicated story with that one. He actually had 2 sets of chakras. I've never seen it. Did not even think you could actually have one, but he actually had 2 sets of chakras. Can you remotely detect which chakras of mine are blocked? Probably not. I haven't actually tried a lot with the remote sensing or not. But with overactive like mine, I have an underactive throat, which is weird considering what I do for a living. I have a very active third eye, and I have a very, very open, sometimes overly active crown chakra, which is why I'm veiling right now. Yes, if y'all did not know that, you can literally wear a cap as a veil. And I have a scarf that I veil with, but I couldn't make videos with that. And the reason that is it, hold that thought. I also have to check on my candle that I got lit really quick. Okay, well that one's a new one. New. Okay. See, I have this, and anybody who sees this will be able to understand why I cannot use this as a veil. I'm very nervous about using this as a veil because I don't want other people to try to say that I'm trying to look like something that I'm not. Interesting, I haven't delved into much research in chakras. IDK if my husband would do this without being a sacrifice. I always have headaches. That could actually be an indication that you have an overactive one, because especially if you have trauma, you are going to have some blockages, but there's a misconception with chakras. For one, what we understand of chakras here in the United States and the Western world, it's complete bullshit versus what they actually believe from where it originated from. There are over 1,000 chakra points all over the body, but for some reason we focus on these. Okay, with these, though, the misconception and the way that people talk about them online, it's like, it's very easy to balance, and no, it's not. There's a reason it's a practice. It's not just something you randomly do and, you're cleared. I wear lavender every day, which also, it doesn't really affect chakras, but with the aura field, it can fix any holes or anything like that that's in it. I've seen auras since I was 4. That is an extremely cool gift. My issue is control a lot. Shit does what it wants. I feel that one. Ooh, I was abused for like 5 years by an ex and had an abused stepdad for like 12 years. Same. I had a very, very traumatic, we'll say, childhood up until like 16 and even past then. So there's a lot of blockages. Like, I have a lot of back pain, which means my root chakra and or my solar plex is blocked. I also have a very, we're not blocked. I have a very, which one is it? I have a huge heart. My heart's very, very active, which if you see my content or if you know me in real life, you already know that. But the issue with this right here, what is this people talking about discovering their chakras into energy centers? Do you know anything about this? Yes. So the original belief of the chakras is they're also potential energy points. So each chakra also represents a certain aspect. We're going to focus on the crown really quick. The crown chakra, if it's overactive, you kind of have those moments where it's like your heads are always in the clouds. You're kind of spacey in a way. It's because our crown chakras are the access to the divine, which is one of the reasons you veil, from my understanding, is to cut yourself off from that. That's where you get the messages and stuff like that. Your third eye, obviously, your psychic abilities. Your throat chakra, obviously you're talking. Your heart chakra. And then there's a solar plex. I always forget the one right up under that. It's between like your belly button. Or it's like right up under your belly button. And then you have your root chakra, which keeps you grounded, but that's also right up under you, if you understand what I'm saying. The root of you. So depending on which ones those are blocked is the issue. Now, a lot of people, what they'll wind up doing is when they find out one's blocked, they'll just focus on that one. Chakras don't work that way. You have to start from the ground up. Literally start with your root chakra. Now, if you have visualization issues, I haven't figured out a technique for this, but meditation-wise, what you'll do is you'll sit there and you'll focus. The The one that I learned from a book that I have is the flower meditation, which is if you can get to a point where you can visualize a flower like a rose. So each color of that chakra, imagine a flower that is closed up like a bud. And then you're slowly going to get that to open. Now, you will actually get physical sensations of when you open these. A lot of the times when you open this one, or if you were to ever actually astral project, you'll actually physically feel a pop. And that's it kind of popping open. Or is that just people I hang with? Magic can be add the mundane. Yes, exactly. What does it seem the witches are disturbed or trauma victims? Just wondering. A lot of people speculate, because I've also realized this too. What I think it is because what I tell people when they've actually heard my life story, they're like, how are you the way that you are now? And I always tell them that it's going to be a longer story because I don't actually astral project that much. But the reason I believe it is because if I wouldn't have been through all the fucked up things that I would have been, I wouldn't be the person I am now. So I think what it is when you experience trauma, it changes you. And a lot of people, how do I say this? Because everybody's going to be different. But like for me, if I would, like my partner always looks at me and he's like, I seriously wished you would have had the help that you would have had, because you would have been able to go to college, graduate, all of that things. But if I would have, I wouldn't be doing this now. So going to college, getting a degree, probably getting a job that I'm going to hate 10 years later versus doing the things that I love. So I believe we have to be exposed to that, because in a weird way, it makes us stronger in life, and it also makes us a lot wiser. I've learned that a lot of people who had trauma in their younger years, where they basically had to grow up really fast. Oh no, I did not go to college. No. I dropped out when I was 16, and I have no plans of going to college, because unless it's a field like a doctor or something like that, I've never been a school type, and then there's nothing that I like photography, filmography. Yeah, I could go for that. Maybe culinary, but no. College is not for me. But if you do go to college, then, more power to you. But I think it strengthens us, and then it's like we have to go through that in order to be a healer, because it also helps us relate to people more, because we've also may have been through that before. It really is. College is a straight up fucking trap. There's a YouTube song. If you haven't heard it, go listen to it whenever you can. It's called Don't Stay in School. That song will break your brain about how fucked up our schooling system is. Yeah, with the chakras, a lot of people, they tend to try to open their third eye. For one, don't do that. Your body will open it when it's prepared to. But secondly, start down and then move up. But it's interesting, and about the energy thing, our solar plex is where we get our energy, right? Well, if you've been following me for a while and you've heard me talk about is it Southern Conjure? I've got too many books. Never thought I'd say that. Okay, I think it's called Southern Conjure, the book. But in that book, he talks about I don't even know how to word that, a theory, which I fucking love, involving natural witches. Hear me out, though. Which is witch fire or witch blood. Witch blood would be basically how it sounds. You have other practitioners that have practiced magic, and it's through blood, right? And then you have my favorite one, which is known as witch fire. Witch fire is right there in your solar plex, where you have a natural, basically wild fire of energy that you were born with. These are the people, I am one of them, these are the people that when you discovered magic, you picked up on it really, really quickly. And these are also people that naturally have, also if you've been diagnosed with depression, you're one of them. We have a natural ability to actually manifest things, whether we do candle spells and magic and shit like that, or just sit there and focus on it. Speaks of a similar concept. Ooh, I will have to look that up. I think I have one of her books. I think. But I love that concept because, yes, I know a lot of people hate the term natural witches because it kind of makes you feel like you're excluded from a certain thing. But it is true. And my theory and my argument with this is we have people that have never taken an art class in their entire fucking life. And then they all of a sudden, they wake up one day and they're fucking Picasso. If you can be born with natural artistic skills like me, I have an eye for photography. Anybody can do photography, but there are some people that have an eye to be able to catch certain things. Can you tell me? I really appreciate you doing this. Like, I get to do your research, but I learn better this way. So I try to read and find videos and subjects. Of course, I also learn this way too. Like, if I had the money for now on when I start getting books, I would love to be able to actually get the audio version and listen to it while I'm reading it because that's how I work. But yeah, if you have any question, just let me know and I will either A, make a video on it, or B, start doing these. And if I can get enough of them, I'd never actually done it before, and I would have to get like a neck thing so you could see like me actually doing it. But I would love to actually start doing some workshops, live workshops, if y'all would like that. Because I've been blah, 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 blah. I've been saying that I'm going to focus more on this, and I think that would be a fun way of doing it. So what I would do would basically be we would come together, whether in a live, say we do a live on Monday and we talk about it Monday, right? So, or I would plan this to where I could actually walk through tutorials, and everybody, we could like pick a date and I can try to schedule them to where we can have the ingredients, but these ingredients are going to be things that anybody would be able to get or find in their house and actually be able to work through these tutorials. Plus I'd be able to keep it as a video and it's extra content. I would totally do that. I love that idea because like you said, I'm the same way. Like I'm not one of those people that can just be read a direction and then just go. I have to be shown at least once or twice, and then after that, I'm Gucci. But yeah, I would love to do that. Plus, these are actually one of the most enjoyable moments of my day, besides like when my partner's home, are these right here, because I never have to worry about like saying something I shouldn't or saying, you know what I mean. And that's one of the reasons TikTok Live scares the shit out of me, is because anybody can pop in at any moment. But yeah, I'll definitely start doing those. Now I'm gonna let y'all in on an actual little video that I'm in the works at. So we've all seen the 5-minute crafts, right? Well, there's one particular one with the Pringle Candle. Basically, you get a Pringles can, you get a toilet paper roll, and then you get twine or hemp, and you put that in there, and it makes this candle. Okay, BRB. Wow, I just read that out loud. But basically, it creates a candle to where it burns like in a zigzag downward. Nobody's done that with a spell candle yet. And hold on. I have a shit ton of wax. I'm supposed to be making candles. By the way, for anybody who is interested, this right here I got from Amazon. And I'll put this on my, the library thing, but it's the, Dublin Art Craft Kit. If anybody is interested in candle making, I think it was like $30 total. Get this, because it does come with enough wax. It comes with wax. It comes with everything that a beginner would need, including oils and everything. And it's a great way before you start investing in everything to actually test it out and do it. Later on this week, I'm also going to hopefully start making wax melts. So, and it's actually interesting because you know how you see all those videos on TikTok about how like they make candles and they make it just look fucking easy? It's not. It is an exact science. What do I mean by this? When you make a candle, depending on the wax, you have to get the wax at a certain temperature before you add the scent and before you add the color. Because if it's too hot, it won't take. If the oil is too hot and you add the oil, it'll evaporate off and will not take. So you actually, and the most difficult thing that I had to learn was to take a solid measurement and translate that into a liquid measurement. By the way, it is not easy if you suck at math like I do. And the reason that is because you're getting chips, you're getting wax chips. So you have to weigh that out and then mathematically transfer that over to a liquid amount. That way you'll actually know how much wax you're going to need for the actual candles. Now, if you're like my candles, when I start making them, some of them will not be scents because it's not about the scent, it's about the actual ingredients in it. Use an instant pot for your double boiler. The heat's perfect the whole time. Ooh, I have to try that. I've seen a lot of people do that right now because with this, I have so much shit to move. It comes with this. This kit comes with this, and then I have a metal thing. But it comes with this, and then I have a red pot that I'll just kind of like use as a double boiler. But I'm definitely gonna try that one. And then after that, on top of that, you also have to take into account if you add oils, if you add herbs. Every single thing you add to a candle is going to affect how it's burned. It's going to affect, will it burn? It's going to affect if it snuffs itself out. If the wax is not at a certain temperature when poured, it'll create the holes, the like little sinkhole looking things. So many other things that go into candle magic that people just don't talk about. And I don't know half the shit that I'm doing, but I've realized that there's a lot of gatekeeping in witchy stuff, like how you start your business and how you do this and how you do that. Because I've had to learn. Crayons make great for coloring candles. That I actually have not thought of. And I need to, because so far the hardest candle to make is a actual black candle that does not come off purple and or gray. We have reached that point already in Florida where it's getting hot as shit. But yeah, also with the pendulum, if you get a pendulum, which I have made a video on this, I won't learn if I don't do it. Oh well. Exactly. And like my ultimate goal when I get the money to actually buy the kit is electroforming. I've always wanted to do it. I just have to save up enough money to actually buy the kit. They product the prettiest pastel shadows when added to white wax. Ooh, my partner may be getting a box of crayons today. But when you get a pendulum for the very first time, and I think I've done a video on this, there is a technique that you can do to actually hone that energy in one-on-one. And I'm about to show you what that is. And it's the most simplest thing, because all you're going to need is a pen or paper or to go outside where you can write in the dirt. Now, this technique, when I lived on the farm, my roommate's mother used to live in Germany. And when she lived in Germany, her roommate was a German witch. And she learned a lot. And I actually impressed her when I picked up the pendulum when she showed us this technique. Because it is the easiest thing in the world. So, you're going to get a piece of paper on the ground. It could be good pendulum if my kids draws on the way. Haha, draw on the wall. Color becomes candle. That's actually kind of cool. You're going to get a piece of paper and you're going to make a hashtag, a cross, and a circle. And what you obviously make them bigger than this. And what you're going to do, come here, is you're going to put it in the center of the spiral, right? Just like this. And you're going to try to talk to it basically like I do. And the point of this is to get it to follow the spiral. And depending on how fast it picks it up and actually starts doing it also indicates of how connected you are to the pendulum. Once you do that a couple of times, you're going to do the same with the cross. And see if you can get it to do this one. And then the same with the lines going down. Every time you do it, see if it'll change it. Now what that's doing is it's actually honing in your energy with the pendulum. I also realized I have way more pendulums than I use. Also, I have another update for the people that don't have a TikTok. Updated the pendulum jar. I got some moss in there, a candle, and then I have a yes or no board that I got in one of the unboxing videos that I got. But yeah, and by the way, anything can be a pendulum. Literally anything. If you have, say you have a ring that has been passed down through generations, use that. That would be a perfect one. Literally anything can be a pendulum. Also, another thing to do, and one of the reasons I kind of like the pendulum board, it could be a good punishment if my kids draw on the wall. That is very true. Get an infernal book yet. Not yet. I've got to message the person who was going to send them to me to see if like I can help speed the process up. Because I'm definitely, trust me, I've still got to set up an altar, and then I have a donation that I got. Actually, it's right here. I'm not going to say who, but I got a cicada that I will be donating to one of the infernals that I will be working with. Very, very interesting to see how that goes. But yeah, anything can be a pendulum. And say you had crystals and you still wanted that pendulum in shape, go to Dollar General and either get the air dry clay or polymer clay, or shit, if you can get it out of your yard, use that. And then shape it when it's wet and then just add crystals to it. I was always told that creating your tools versus going out and buying your tools, they're way more connected. Now, with that though, if you start to make your tools, if you start getting frustrated, stop and go like do something else. The reason I'm saying that is because you can make it a ritual. Now, when I say ritual, a lot of people, when they think of ritual, they almost think of like high magic, where you've got the candles going, you've set the scene. No, literally, going outside whittling on a stick, going outside and stating the purposes like in your head or outside, but going outside, finding the perfect stick, coming back inside, sitting down, carving it, all of that is a ritual. If you were to do a self-love thing, set those up, like make it a ritual. And if you don't have a bathtub, ritual habit. Exactly. Exactly. That's one of the reasons too, where here recently, when people have asked me like where do I start, I've actually been telling them to go to Wicca, because there is one good thing about Wicca. Wicca is very structured. Structure, and the reason they tell you that you need daily practices or daily rituals is because, like that comment just said, those daily rituals become a habit. And that's what we mean when you hear witches where, like, you know, you get to a point where it's just your everyday life. That's what we mean. You'll get to a point to where you'll be doing things and won't even realizing you're doing it because it's a habit. It's just like with the techniques of twilight meditation and or talking to your ancestors. You've got to do it repetitively because it will become a habit. And it's also a cool way if you're trying to break a bad habit, because some people believe that when you take away energy, you have to replace that energy. So, enchanting dinner every night. Exactly. But if you were to try to say quit smoking, figure out 2 good habits that you could put in the place of that bad habit. And trust me, if you actually successfully quit smoking, blessings to you, because I don't understand how people fucking do it. If it wasn't for caffeine, wine, and cigarettes, and green, I'd probably be in jail right now. But yeah, things like that, and it creates a habit. And those habits, like me and my partner, we've created this kind of tradition in a way where like you know how like a lot of people, they when they think of a date, they think of going out to a restaurant, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know what me and my partners is? Because we don't really eat out a lot. So when we do get to eat out at like McDonald's, it's a date for us. Friday I got to go in with him and hang out with him the entire day at his work. That was a date for us. And then we have this traditions where we'll come home and we'll make depending on what time he gets home, we'll pick a movie and we'll sit down. I call them stoner nights. We'll sit down and we'll watch that movie. We watched Dune. Actually, we watched it twice. We watched it yesterday and then the day before yesterday and then yesterday. It's like a 2.5 hour movie. But that's our traditions, and it's become a tradition. And for the people that don't always cook, the microwave stuff that you buy at like Walmart and Dollar General, you can also do kitchen witchery with that. I only quit because it made me sick during my pregnancy. Oh, you once said that if you have unknowingly been working with Freya, and insert is how that's going. It's actually going really well. Primarily I work with her with I need to look into what other things that she does. So that story kind of started when we moved off of the most haunted property we used to live into. The guy that we used to add your own seasonings. When you get a chance to, if y'all ever find one, find a food safe food color marker and you can just start drawing sigils on it. When the last day when we were getting our stuff off the property, the guy that we were moving into who owned the coven, he was like, holy shit, like Freya is here. And I'm like, what? Like, that's the first time anybody ever said that. And I was like, what? And he goes, yeah, she loves the fact that, like, how you take care of your cats. So fast forward here, um, after the cats, I kept seeing a hawk, and it was just this eureka moment that Freya has been here this entire time. And then when I got into a situation to where I was on probation and my stepfather would not let me stay with him. The house across the street that I was staying in was not safe because of my stepbrother who was into some fucked up shit. So I'm out on bail at this point, which means if I get in trouble in any way, shape, or form, I'm off to jail. Take on. Yes. I basically had to stay out in my mom's car for like 2 days. Sleep out there. And on the first night that day, because during the day I could hang out with my mom inside the house, but as soon as it got like 6 o'clock, I had to go out because my father-in-law was home, or my stepfather was home. And I mentioned to my mom, I was like, do you see this hawk? Like, it keeps flying around the property, flying around the property. It was uncharacteristic for a hawk to do. And that night, it was about 11 o'clock, I was listening to music on my phone, and all of a sudden, there's not really a gazebo, but a swing set, a wooden swing set, like you'd see on a porch. And there was this wooden arch that it was connected to, and this fucking hawk flies out of the tree, lands there, and I'm literally 5 to 10 feet in front of it, and it just stares at me for like 10 minutes straight. And in this process, as soon as it landed and I looked at it, it was just like this piece had completely fell over me. And it was just like this voice that I heard that was like, everything's going to be okay. And ever since then, I've always been followed by hawks. Well, for some reason, I've never knew that hawks were heavily associated with Freya. So, and it's gotten to the point now, I live in Florida, so they're everywhere. Me and my partner both, as we're driving or riding down the road, we'll randomly point them out to each other. And to me, when it shows up, because we have two that live around our house, and every now and then they'll randomly land on the dock and just stare. And normally that's when that emotion, true enough, it's a normal day habit, but depending on what's going on in my mundane life, if I see that, it means that everything's going to be okay, and you just got to ride the waves. But it's going really, really well. The cool thing that I do is if the cats are away or I haven't seen them in a few hours, I'm like, Freya, can you please wrangle up these fucking cats, please? And I shit you not, mostly besides the other night where I couldn't find the kittens, normally within 5 to 10 minutes, they show back up at the house. And it was so cute, and I couldn't get a picture of it because I think I was live or I was talking on the phone. I was doing something, and I look out the window, and all three of the kittens are sitting in front of my altar, looking up like somebody is just sitting there talking to them. I was talking to my partner, that's what it was, on the phone because I made a joke, and I was like, apparently Freya's out there talking to them because after that day, they have not left the porch. Like, they haven't left our property. There we go. They've always stayed on the property. And now they've learned that if I walk out that door and they hear me shake a bag, or even if that door opens, normally I'm bringing out food. And my neighbors are so amused by it because the cats can be all over on the property and all I have to go is and shake the bag and you'll see fucking shit tons of cats just coming out of everywhere running up here onto the porch. So it's working out very well. I work with her, and then I work with Hecate, and then I haven't really been working with Loki that much. He kind of came up a little bit, and it was just gone, and then shortly after that was when I was told that I have 3 Infernals that are reaching out to me. That are reaching out to me, and I believe that me working with these Infernals are also eventually what they're trying to help me with is the one thing that, if you followed me for a while, I've had 3 people from literally different times of my life say that there is a very, very tall man that follows me. He's probably right here now. but he won't talk to me. He won't speak to me. I have to get to a certain point in my journey before he will start teaching me. I believe it's my great-great-grandfather who I never met, but it sounds like him. And they've all said that he is native. I don't know what that means exactly, but I have to get to a point. What one of the Infernals will be, I'll be working with on, also basically will help me with that. Loki does that. It's very weird. It's like he just pops in and he pops back out. He pops in and pops back out. It was also around the time that me and my partner were watching the Loki series, so I think it had something to do with that. But the way that I see deities is if one reaches out to you, it's because they're trying to show you something or they're going to help you in your journey. Now, that is the difference of working with one versus devoting yourself to one. You don't consider yourself a pagan, though, right? No, I don't. The reason I don't consider myself pagan, we also have to look at the definition of paganism, which is, the most broadest term is basically a non-Christian Judaism. There's another word that I always forget to say. Basically, it's the belief in more than one God. I don't consider myself pagan because I don't worship them. I work with them. And with pagans, a lot of pagans, if they do work with deities, they use the term worship. Yes, Abrahamic. I always forget that term. Thank you so much. So I do not consider myself pagan. I consider myself a spiritual witch. That and I don't know. There was just something that there were a couple of conversations that I've had where I just don't like it. It's also like I got a question the other day on wait, before I get to that question. So with me, the way that I see deities, unless you are a devotee, and devotee means you are dedicating yourself to that deity and no other deities. And before you even do that, you have to go through so many like rituals and daily things to actually show how much you're devoting yourself to that deity. And then you have people that, outside of witch talk, you have people that, depending on what magic I'm doing, is depending on what deity I will ask if they will assist me. Now, with that being said, that doesn't always mean that they will. But the reason that I say that I work with Freya, Hecate, Loki every now and then, and there's like two other ones that I'm not going to mention, is because I've worked off and on with them the longest. They've taught me things, or they've assisted. Like Hecate, I use a lot with like justice spells. She's really good at it. On Llewellyns.com, for anybody who did not know this, you know how they have the Spell a Day Almanac books? Well, the world's expensive right now. If you have a Twitter, and or if you have a Facebook, or just go to their website, you can get an email, I believe. You can get email updates. They actually post a spell a day every day. And on their Twitter, they'll actually tweet it out. But I believe you can also get emails sent to you. If you go to that website, though, and type in Justice Spell, there's going to pull up one that's Hecate Justice Spell. You'll need 3 tea lights and 3 cloves of garlic. And basically, you light the candles and you state the situation. You state what's going on. And then you're leaving it up to her to play out that justice. And trust me, it works. I would not do it to the faint of heart. The only things that I actually haven't worked with, I have not worked with a lot of Mel or gods. I've not worked with a lot of those. And then I also work with the Witch Father. And I'm trying to work with the Witch Mother. Now, obviously, I'm not doing all of this at the same time. But like I said, there's also a lot of things that I don't talk about and or post online. But yeah, that's kind of how I view it. And I know a lot of people are like, well, that's weird. You should still consider yourself pagan. The problem with this is, and what leads to the next question is, it's too much of an umbrella term and it's been used too many times. So I had a question on one of my comments, regarding if I had ever done a video on the difference between an intuitive reader and a psychic reader. Here's the problem. Psychic is too much of a broad definition. I call myself an intuitive reader because I do not believe that I am psychic. Now, I do know that I have claircognizance, which is the ability of knowing. but I still don't consider myself psychic. And what I mean by intuitive reader is a tarot reader, for example. A tarot reader, depending on there are psychics, intuitives, and then there are the people that have just memorized the card meanings. So with me, the deck that I use, and I even do this with tarot, with me, it's like almost like Yahtzee. So instead of Yahtzee, imagine getting a puzzle, a 100-piece puzzle, right? Or no, 50-piece puzzle. And you put it in a cup and you shake it up and you throw it out. So with the card and the deck that I use, there's an image and 2 words to 1 word that's on that card. So what I do is I have to look at it like a puzzle piece, and I'm putting the pieces together. And depending on what intuitively comes to me is what I'm going to tell you in your reading. And I've only had 1 reading where at first it did not make sense. And then the person came around 2 days later and was like, you know what? After I looked at this, it does make sense. And thank you for that reading. Now, can I read myself like that? No, and it drives me crazy. I started referring to myself as a polytheist. Oh, I like that. But there's too many words, and that's why when people say, like, when they hear that I'm a witch, they're like, oh, you're pagan. No. Oh, you're Wiccan. No. There's nothing wrong with that, but no. I'm a spiritual witch. And what I mean by I'm a spiritual witch is I believe that there are truths in all religions, but that doesn't make those religions true. There are slight truths hidden in all religions. And then I believe in all the gods. I believe in all the goddesses. As though, as I'm saying, I recognize that they're there. I recognize that there are things bigger than outside of my control. And then I like just different, like I'm extremely drawn to a lot of the Hindu or Buddhist beliefs. That's actually where some of my beliefs stem from when I die, which is when I die, depending on if I have kids or not, when I die, I will go to the Summerland, which is a Wiccan concept. It is basically the other side for witches, or magical practitioners. And I believe I will stay there until 1 or 2 things happen. 1, I will be reincarnated because I have not fully gained all the knowledge that I need. So basically, just like Buddha's belief, I'll reincarnate until I've basically kind of reached that nirvana. Now, once I reach that nirvana state, 1 or 2 things will happen. I'll either 1, have a choice to go to source and just kind of become part of the universe again, or B, become a spirit guide for one of my family members. And see, the reason I look at this is because I view time as a constant river, but not really. I don't know how. Basically, the reason I say this is because I believe spirit guides have an ability to go back and forth through time. If that makes any sense, it gets a little bit confusion. But if anybody of my blood, what I mean by that, so it doesn't actually have to be a child of mine, but anybody in both sides of my family that find the craft and they answer the calling, then that's when I'll come down and be a guide to them. And or I'll just chill out in the Summerlands until I'm reincarnated. Time of the blob. Yes, exactly. Like, I used to say time is just a constant river that flows one way, but we're going to go into another conversation, and I'm so sorry, y'all, this is so long. Y'all know me, I love this. Which is the issue with past lives. So, for one, soul group theory, what that is basically imagine an ocean of souls, which means every drop of water is a soul. And then a giant chalice, the divine hand, comes in and scoops up a cup, a chalice full of souls. So all the souls in this chalice right here, when they're born, they're going to all meet again in the same life. These are people that when you meet them for the very first time, it's like you've known them your entire life. It's called the soul group theory. This soul group theory can explain why a lot of people who say that they've been reincarnated or in their past life they were this great person, it could make sense, because what if a fragment of their soul that made up this famous person was now into this body? So that's my theory on that. My other theory that I have, which is one of the reasons I don't consider myself pagan as well, and I've stopped using this term because I said it on TikTok and got dragged. by what was her name? Mountain Conjure Mountain. Anyways, she basically stated that the term that I'm about to say is how you get colonization and how close practices happen. I believe in the disco ball effect. The disco ball effect is basically a giant ball of energy. And the gods and goddesses, depending on who they are, basically depending on where you are in the world and what you believe, is the side of that disco ball. Because what is a disco ball? It is a solid object that are made of tiny little mirrors. So, in other words, and it also makes sense, we're going to say Christian wise, right? If a god goes, say a god who looks like Jesus, whatever the hell he looks like. No, here we go. If an Egyptian god, Horus, went over to Japan or China to present himself, a lot of people would probably freak the fuck out. Why? Because their cultures do not match with that, right? But if the energy can represent itself as the culture believes, you see what I mean? So it's all the same energy, it's just a different face. And a lot of people apparently do not like that, but I like that because it means that all gods and goddesses are real. I also believe that we've heard the term, the old ones are awakening. A lot of people are like, well, duh, they never went away. True. But what just repeated? We just kind of went through the plague stage, right? What happens after the plague stage? The Renaissance, right? During the pandemic, when everybody was locked down, you had so many people that had so much free time on their hands, they what? Found their spirituality. They didn't necessarily become a witch, but more people are leaving the church and believing in either a monotheist, I think I said that right, or basically they're no longer going to Christianity or Catholicism. They're going to all these other religions. And it's very, very cool. That's how the Hindus describe their gods, different aspects of the same energies. See, I thought that was how they did it, and the person that I said that kind of called me out is the biggest mistake that I've ever made on TikTok. There was this practitioner who was supposed to be a conjurer, who kind of popped out of nowhere, and I love the way that they did their videos. They're from YouTube. And I shouted them out and was like, yo, you should follow this person. They know what they're talking about. That was when everything just went to shit. That was one of the people that said that you can't call yourself a mountain witch, or a granny witch and all this other shit. Primal Conjure is what it was called. And she basically responded or stitched that video and basically called me out and was like, this is what happens when the blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, all right, go on. Polytheistic exhausted, but the cultures gave so much energy that they became new gods, if that makes sense. Exactly. That's what I also believe. It's one of my theories on the Witch Father. So I was having a conversation on my podcast, which was Scroll Through the Woods with the Traditional Witch Brian. I love that conversation. The best conversation, hands down, that I think I've had on the app. Just because of how we talked, but before he moved to traditional witchcraft, he was pagan. He was Wicca. And he worked with Pan. And I asked him, I was like, well, do you ever think that the Witch Father was showing itself as Pan so you feel more comfortable with him? And he thought about it and he's like, actually, yeah. So my theory is, with the whole Wicca thing, right? My theory is, what if the Witch Father was the person who brought Wicca to the two people that kind of blew it up and created it to reintroduce witchcraft back into the world? I think younger gods are children, etc. The older deities due to the complex exposure of cultures to other cultures. Ooh, I like that idea. And basically we're seeing the same thing now. We saw it back in the 80s, the early 90s, and now we're seeing it again where spirituality, witchcraft is coming back. And with that, though, and with this shift, we're getting more varieties of our practices. We have Appalachian folk magic now. We have Ozark folk magic. We have American folk magic. We have death witchery. We have so many new things. We have traditional witchcraft. That are, it's kind of a newer spin on things. And what I believe is, and they actually made a movie about it. I'm trying to think of what it was, where like the gods died or kind of ceased to exist when they stopped believing in them. And I believe that's what's happening now. These older energies are kind of getting a revival, if you will. And that's one of the reasons it's just like the symbols, like a crucifixion. The reason that symbol, whether you believe in it or not, the reason it's so powerful is because it's had so many people believe it. Just like the pentagram. All these symbols, the reason they are powerful is because so many people have put their faith in it. And that's one of the reasons blind faith can be dangerous or risky, because you never know where it's going to go. What was I about to say? Apparently it wasn't important what I was about to say. But yeah, that's what I believe. And I mean, my beliefs change. And that's what I believe witchcraft is. Your spiritual journey. Like, I slightly envy the people when they're like, you know, what are your beliefs? When they can just name them like this. Because I'm like, what's today? Tuesday? I don't know. Ask me tomorrow. It may be something completely different. And that's okay. I'm still in the growing aspect of where I'm going with my spirituality and life. And shit, I mean, who knows? The one thing I can say is I've never walked away from the craft. With that being said, have there been moments where I packed everything up and threw them in a chest? Yes, and every single time, when it happened around my partner's like, I don't know why you do this, because the next day or fucking 2 hours later, you're back at it again. I've been this on the small amount of history I know about Ireland being called Thor's land by the Scandinavians and being its place of Thor's children. Ergo, the Taws could possibly be those children. Ooh, I like that. See, there's one thing that I don't like, and there's nothing wrong with it because obviously I'm wearing one, but I've never actually really connected with the Norse side before. Ever. Same. I packed things up for almost 2 years and felt so lost. Exactly. And then it's like every time I did try to get away from it, it just somehow snuck its way back in. Like divine family tree type thing. I like that. That also goes into the kind of theory where, so I did not know this, but for the people that use the Guardians of the Watchtowers, you're basically calling upon angelic energy. Kind of. But with that conversation, we had another conversation with the Cain and his children. A lot of people think that Cain was the original first witch, and some of his children became also witches. And apparently, in palmistry, there is a mark that is actually considered Cain's mark. That most people that are descendants from Cain. So that's also saying, and I wish I could do this so much, actually have the time, the resources to actually track down through blood all of Cain's descendants to actually check to see how many practitioners are there. Yes, they believe I did a video on it, and then another creator helped me with it to kind of bring more information. So they believed that when the angels fell, some of the angels that fell became landlocked. Those are the watchtowers, the guardians of the directions. One of these stuck angels taught Cain how to do magic. He kind of introduced it to him. Welcome back. And thus Cain became the first musician. The first witch. So some of his descendants also started practicing. And thus it goes on to the natural witches because, well, Cain was a witch. And it blew my mind because for some reason, all of these theories just clicked so well. And I was like, wait. So my theory to kind of advance on that is the fact that the witch father would be Cain. Or Cain's energy, if that makes any sense. Jehovah. Are you talking about Jehovah Witnesses? I want to make sure you're talking about that before I go off on a rant. They're definitely very interesting people. I will definitely say that. I've met a few of them. My grandmother's home nurse, one of her home nurses, was a Jehovah Witness. And, oh, the Christian God Jehovah. I actually haven't done enough research on Jehovah, to be honest. Jehovah Witnesses are kind of just, because I know one now, and they're just, I don't understand it. I do like the fact, and the one thing my grandmother didn't, my grandmother was one of the, well, grandmothers, I guess you'd say, who collected the porcelain angels. Like, she had this huge collection of it. She was not allowed to have it because she actually moved in with her home nurse. Because Jehovah Witnesses believe that you're not supposed to have any statues of angels because the way that they're depicted in the Bible is not how they are autonomously are, so they find it very disrespectful, and they don't really have that many holidays at all. I don't understand it at all. There's an occultist who works with the archangels who said that he is the most powerful entity. Oh, I may have to look into that. I would also, some people will not like this, but for one, if you do work with angels, or if you've ever wanted to, and I cannot believe I am boosting this woman's site, but Bahat That Life, Jessica from Bahat That Life, Bahat That Life, I think I said that right. She has a website. On her website, there is a section that's called, is it Michael? I think it's Michael. There's a church here in Florida that was dedicated to, Michael the Archangel. Yeah, Michael the Archangel, I believe it's him. Was dedicated to him because of this miracle that happened. When she went there, she had this spiritual moment to where she came up with this miracle prayer in a way. And you have to have a white candle, and it's a 7-day process, and you have to light this white candle and say this prayer over it. And a lot of people that have done it have said that it literally, it can make miracles happen. So that's something to definitely check out on her blog post. I've actually have it saved in my phone. Seventh-day Adventist. I guess it would technically be something like that. I got hit up on Facebook by a Mormon who went through friends' pages who practices hoodoo. Respectfully, but gross to go there, that person's page. Wow. I've actually never had any really issue, knock on wood, with Christians. I've had them pop up in my Facebook Lives, a couple of my TikToks. And the best way to handle them that I discovered is just if they say something, just be like, thank you for that blessing. Have a great day. Everybody's welcomed here. And normally, due to the fact they don't get the response they want, they'll go the other way. But apparently, speaking of hawks, and look who it is. No, wait, is that a hawk or a falcon? Nope, that's a hawk. Yeah, it's a hawk. She's back. I'm assuming that's a she. It's very small, actually. But I would definitely try it. My grandmother had actually said that to me once before, and the cool thing is, during the last few months that she was here, we actually had a deep conversation about what I believe in, and we left that conversation, and she goes, oh, so all these years I just misunderstood. I was like, yeah. I was like, I don't worship Satan. I don't work with Satan. Which is weird, because here very soon I will be working with Lucifer. Same, I was super respectful, so they were. Just said I wasn't interested right now. My mom told me the same thing. I just rolled my eyes. Yep. But yeah, if y'all do try the angel spell, let me know. But I was always told to watch messing with angels or working with angels because they're tricksters. I was also told that with the Infernals as well, and obviously that's not true. I tried explaining to her, but she won't understand. It's one of those, I think it's a generational thing where, like, there's just some people that are so engraved with it, they just won't change. So, trust me, I've got a couple of family members where I just no longer talk to them because I'm like, look, if you're still going to stay in your little mind state, you can stay over there. Hello, beautiful girl. Where are you going? You going to the cross? Yep. I know that sounded weird. I'm not crazy. My neighbors have this giant, technically it was here before because, oh, for the people that did not know, a preacher used to live here. I don't think I've ever said that. Yeah, a preacher used to live here before this. We got the property, but he built a giant white cross, and every time the hawk comes down here, she'll fly from there all the way up and land on the cross. What exactly do the Infernals say about them? I don't actually know what the Infernals say about angels. I've still been slightly lacking on doing research on the Infernals because I'd rather have a book versus having to read articles. Been working with Lilith for 20 years. Not so much a trickster, but definitely need to be super clear. That's what I was thinking. So they're like ancestors, because if you start working with your ancestors, you need to be very, very clear with what you were saying. Because sometimes they will take it for a literal word. But honestly, when it comes to like working with these things, like I've had arguments before, I don't anymore, where you have these people that are like, well, no, you can't mix you can't mix gods. And I'm like, yeah, you can't. Oh yeah, they will definitely teach you lessons. Definitely on that one. Like when it comes to it all Patreons, thank you. You're not supposed to mix them. That's bullshit. I've had conversations with multiple gods. Now there's one thing I do not mix in my craft, and I'm slowly getting over that, which is the Bible. I do not know why, but I cannot actually bring myself to use it. That's going to change very soon, though. But yeah, when it comes to the craft, if it feels right for you, do it. It's just like when everybody, like the first time you set up your altar and you take a picture and you share it in the group, and then all of a sudden you get all these comments. Well, I would have done this, or I would have done that. I hate when people do that because there's no right or wrong way to set up an altar. You don't even need an altar if you don't want one. Shit, I've got like 8, 9, or 10. I did a spell video the other day, and somebody commented on the kitchen table, and I'm like, yeah, I do magic anywhere. It's called portable altars. Exactly, and like people forget this. And it's like with this whole closed thing where people are saying this is closed. Have y'all realized that all the people that are saying this shit is closed is actually not the people of the culture and or the practice? Gods and spirits don't care who you are or where you come from, so as long as gatekeeping is friendly. Yes, my teacher drilled it to my head. If it works for you, then do it. Exactly. And exactly that too. Like, as long as you're respectful, they're not going to care. And that's what I don't understand with people. Like, a good friend of mine, an ex, he actually had a, depending on who you ask, this practice is closed. But with certain closed practices, if you go through the right processes and they do divination and it states that their spirits have chosen you, thus you can be initiated in. My ex is actually going through something like that now, to where the oracles actually told this person, yo, no, he needs to start train him. So thus, that's what he's doing now. And it's in hoodoo. He's basically being trained in actual hoodoo. The ocean. It's that word that the fucking. It starts with an O. I want to say it's from Africa. It's the African spirits they use. Oasia. I think I said that right. I don't even know if that's African. I don't think that is African. Is it Hades? It's not a closed gatekeeping. It's closed to do the training. Yes, there we go. He's that through divinations reached out and picked him. My altar is kind of bare because of the 4 cats and 2 large dogs. My altar is just a statue. My altar, I've had to put certain things, because normally my altar is like all out. Like there's a small little workspace and then all the other trinkets and stuff that I find that I have power. But due to the mice incident that I'm still currently doing, I'm having to stick shit in things like this. Just due to the fact that they will carry anything. And even though I have all these cats, my cat that I have inside will just look at them and just be like, sup? I'm like, you're a bad cat. Luckily enough to finally have a decent room so I can keep my critters out. That's what I'm working for. There are two rooms. It's just I haven't had the time, or let me rephrase that. I haven't had the motivation to actually get in there and clear them out to actually fully have one single thing. And due to my depression and how we live in our trailer, we're fucking two people. And it's a 3-bedroom trailer, so we sleep in the living room. I know that sounds weird, but the AC is right there. We have one AC unit, and it works for us. And my altar is directly in front of our bed on a dresser. And then I have my stoner altar, and then I have what I call my depression corner, which is basically just a bunch of boxes and books and stuff like that that I've kind of organized in this one spot. My cat singed her fur the other day. Ooh. I've had that happen to Bubbers once. He tried licking, or he tried smelling the flame. He would not do that again. Still revitalizing books. But I do have a room that I'm going to set up. There's two. But I've just got to figure out how I want to set them up. Because my biggest goal is once I get a tripod to be able to have a filming location. And also with the filming location, if y'all are a content creator and you need an idea to like have that aesthetically looking thing, go to Dollar General or Dollar Tree and get some wallpaper. Get like one of the thick poster boards, cut that in half and make a floor and a backdrop. Roll that on there, and you have the perfect filming location that looks and fits any aesthetic. In reality, it's just a prop. Like when I show my spell videos off, I've gotten so many comments. I'm loving the wood paneling. And I'm like, I live in a fucking trailer that was made in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, I fucking hate it, but here we are. And that's what I'm hating. I hate the fact that I have to make certain things look pretty to get views and shit online. Witchcraft is not always pretty and or aesthetically pleasing. And like, I mean, yeah, does the trailer that I live in, does it need fixing up? Yes. Do I care? No. Why? Because it has a roof over my head, it has floors below me and walls around me, and AC and heat. I've been places where I lived in a house with this girl, who we did not have anything. What I mean by this was it was a house their parents owned that were in the middle of a renovation and just stopped. We had no hot water heater. We did have running water, but it was ice cold. We had no stove. We had a refrigerator and a grill, a Tyson grill thing. That's all we had. And movies. Shit tons of movies. And it was fucking horrible. But, you know, you gotta live where you gotta live. My depression and ADHD means my house is shit, so I don't make much content. Honestly, I'm the exact same way. Like, there's a reason you see this right here, or I angle or film in certain areas. I will not show certain places because I'm so afraid somebody's gonna, like, make fun of it. Because, like you said, I have depression and I have ADHD. My partner works. He leaves the house around 6 o'clock and he'll get home some nights 7 or 8 o'clock. Obviously, like, he's not going to start picking up things. So normally I'm the stay-at-home husband. So that's my job. And my ADD is bad. So, but luckily, with this right here, after this, I have the prayer video that I got to film because I'm running out of time. And then hopefully I will be able to clean up and pick up. Have you ever known someone to change someone's sexuality with magic? No. Completely understand, and we understand. And that's why I love this community. Like, I know I don't have to hide anything from y'all. Because we also kind of all go through it too. But no, there's no way that you can magically change somebody's sexuality with magic. There's no way, shape, or form. And this is something that needs to be talked about more. Like, okay, for an example, because I've hated on this shit so much. Spell jars. Anti-depression, anti-anxiety, anxiety spell jars. Could they work? Yes. Will they cure it? No. Here's why. Magic is for the spirit and the soul. Modern medicine, therapy, and herbal medicine is for the chemicals in your head. What do I mean by this? Somebody said they created a spell jar or a spell to cure their DID. DID, just like anything to do with your brain, are chemicals. Magic can't fix that. But if you were to create a spell jar or a anxiety or depression jar and create a daily ritual, like taking your medication, exposing yourself to sunlight, a mental health thing, you could incorporate those magical practices in with your mental health routine as it is, and it may help, but it will not cure it. I've spent 10 years when I was younger tracking down every anti-fucking depression spell I could get my hands on, and I've done them all, and I still have fucking depression. Placebo effect, maybe, but no. Completely understand. I'm depressed and disabled. Balancing issues. Cleaning is a bitch. Magic helps the mundane. It does not replace it. Exactly, yes, and same. I'm depressed and disabled. Currently fighting disability. And fucking I learned today that they actually have a name for the reason disability sucks. Is because it's the 4 things that they do to keep you cycling, right? So when you first file for disability, you're going to get denied right out the gate. And then you have to review it and then basically go from there. But the problem is, depending on the state, like here in Florida, a lot of people, when they're like, oh, well, why don't you just go and apply for fucking health insurance, right? Here's the problem. So when I was working, before I got to a point where I could no longer work, I was making too much money to qualify for health insurance, right? So I quit, and I go to file, and they tell me that I'm not working, right? So in order to actually get disability approved, you have to frequently go to multiple doctors to get actual doctors saying, yes, he is this. How do you do that if you don't qualify for Medicaid? Because you either A, work too much, but here's the catch. If you work, you don't qualify for disability. I mean, in some states, when you do get approved for disability, some states will allow you to work a certain amount of hours throughout the week, and then that's it. But it's this constant thing. And this last time, I had to go to the federal level of my disability, and I'm having to refile again because there are only three to four lawyers in the state of Florida that will take on a federal case. And all of them either A, did not want to take me, and or B, had too much on their plate to take me. Same, I'm a stay-at-home writer, LOL. Luckily, due to my father shaking me, I was disabled. I got approved. Oh, I'm glad you got approved, and I'm so sorry about the shaking syndrome. My biggest issue is most of my mental health records that I actually do have are from Alabama. I live in Florida. And I've had 3 lawyers contact all places because I've been in LD classes when I was in school, which are learning disordered, or learning not learning disability. Basically I learned different. I was in special ed basically. And if I can prove to disability that they could possibly go back that far, because I was told by the last state psychiatrist that saw me that the reason I am the way that I am now is because I did not get help when I was younger. So this is the result of it, which before I was diagnosed with bipolar manic depression, anxiety disorder, ADHD, ADD, which basically are the same thing, and dyslexia. Those were the initial things that I was diagnosed with. Fast forward, I developed agoraphobia due to the fact that my anxiety and my ADHD entwined itself together and kind of ran wild. And with my severe PTSD or complex PTSD, what wound up happening and what agoraphobia is and how it kind of starts, or a panic disorder, is when you have anxiety and you go through an anxiety attack, you'll get to a point to where your body will try to prevent you from being put in that situation that triggers you to go through an anxiety attack, which eventually leads into a panic attack. So what winds up happening is your body, aka it also can create agoraphobia, your body gets to a point to where you would rather basically stay at home versus being stuck or being put into a social situation that could make you have an episode. So basically, it's your body develops anxiety, a panic attack to prevent you going through in panic attacks. I think I said that right. My mom gave up on getting it. It's sad because she is very physically challenged. My dad only got it because of military discounts, 100% mentally disabled. I get nervous about going out in public, so I sort of understand. I'm the same way with agoraphobia, though, or people with agoraphobia. We have what is known as safe places and safe people. My local Dollar General, that's a safe place because I've been there so much. And then obviously my partner is my safe person, which means no matter what we're doing, as long as I'm with him, I'm okay. His work is a safe place. Any old job that I used to work at, if we visit, that's a safe place. But anything like that, and I have my moments. We also have flare-ups. I did not know this, but with agoraphobia, it can go down completely where you have no symptoms, and then something will trigger it, and it flares back up. Have you ever done a lust spell on somebody? Yes, I have. Same dollar store down the road, and my mom's. Yep, I'm the same way, and always know you're not alone either. Yes, I've done a lust spell. I've done a lust spell. I've done a breakup spell. Haven't done a lot of those. I've done a fertility spell. I've done a spell to save a marriage. Cord cutting spell. Hexing. Money blessings. Quit smoking spell. Trying to think of what else spells that I've done. I did a money spell to help somebody get money that was owed to them. It worked out perfectly. Lust spells and a banish spell, yes. The lust spell, it worked out pretty good. The fertility spell, the one that successfully worked, this client had went to a doctor, and the doctor told them that they had a 1 in 4 chance. One out of no, it was 1 out of 1,000% chance of actually getting pregnant and successfully carrying full term. I did this spell, I think it was like 2 days before the full moon. Or I did it on a new moon. I think I did it on a new moon because around the full moon, she found out that she was pregnant. And she is currently pregnant with her second baby. Now that was probably a 1 in a 1,000 chance of it happening. But yes, my specialty in a very weird way is fertility and love magic. Those two, anything to do with fertility, love, lust, sex, that's kind of my specialties, and I don't know why. And then the marriage one, it definitely worked. That was actually the biggest tip I've ever gotten to, but that one worked. It was a 30-year marriage I saved. Do you work with deities for your spells, for less spells? Yes. Depending on, like I said, depending on the spell, I will call upon certain deities to see if they will assist me or at least bless the spell. I did the same thing with my ancestors. Yes, I've had deities say, nope, no thank you. I've had ancestors say, yep, I ain't touching that with a 5-foot pole. And then I also call upon my spirit guides, and if I have permission, I will call upon the other person's spirit guides and ancestors to also bless them in this spell. The breakup spell, it was very weird because it was one of my first actual, like, public spells from a customer. And without going into too much detailing, it was a binding, blocking, and hex / breakup / lust spell to get the guy to go to this person. And then my reactions and my results of both of those spells were extremely wild to the point where my partner's extremely sensitive. What I mean by that is baneful magic I have to do outside or when he is at work because it will physically affect him. Giving him like anxiety or making him irritated. And that's what it was doing then. And we both messaged each other at the exact same time stating that we need to basically do something else. And we did. We went a completely different route. Obviously, I've done honey jars, manifestation spells. I've done love spells, marriage spells. I'm trying to think of a spell I actually haven't done. Justice spells. my personal favorite, retribution spells. Protection, banishings, healing, retribution, justice, baneful works. I'm all over the place. Yes, and see, I love practitioners that are like that too, because in order to become a good witch, which everybody's a good witch, but in order to become an experienced witch, you have to try a lot of things. You have to kind of dip your toes in a couple of areas, because that way you'll get more experience. How long did it take your lust spell to work? I had one that worked for about a week, or it took about a week to manifest. I've had one that, as soon as that candle burnt down, it worked perfectly. I have a lust spell. I don't call it a lust spell, but I call it a Respark Spell. And what that is say people like me and my partner, we've been together for almost 10 years. And yes, I've used it on us. So over time, the flames and stuff kind of die down to those burning embers, which is perfectly fine. So what the Respark spell is it'll respark that spark, so it helps couples kind of remember the original reason they got together, and it makes their relationship stronger. That one worked very well, but when people come to me for spell work, I always tell them at least give it 30 days or a full lunar cycle, so about 28 to 29 days. Typically, but depending on the spell and or how complex that spell can be, and or if the other person does their footwork, I've had things instantly within a day or two of me doing it. There were some that there was a road opener cleansing spell that I did, our community candle spell for the community. It was my first one, and it was 2019 into 2020. Very first community candle, it was the gold one, and somebody had messaged me about a week after that, and they were part of it. And the day that I actually lit the candle, they wound up in the hospital because they had a bunch of health issues. I'm talking like a bunch, and they're like, do you think this was my body purging all of these things out of me so it can give me better health? And I said, yes, I think that's exactly how that spell works. Or I think that's exactly what was happening. In order to get healthy, your body had to purge itself from all the things. With the manifestation jar or honey jars that I do, I get regular messages of people throughout the year that will message me, and they're like, holy shit, this just happened. I've never heard of a road opener till TikTok. Still a little confused. Okay, so road opener stems from hoodoo and southern conjure. So what it is hexes or somebody throwing roots at you are basically blockages. So imagine you're at a four-way, right? And all sides of the four-way are blocked, whether that's by a tree, a rock, or something like that. So what a road opener does is all the obstacles or any obstacles that are in your way that are preventing you from manifesting or moving forward, it completely explodes them. It basically removes them. And with me, I offer an uncrossing and a road opener. So what that is, an uncrossing is where somebody has crossed you, hexed you, laid roots on you. So the uncrossing is to uncross that, to take that effect away. And then I like to add the road opener to that because it's an extra poof of explosion to get those obstacles out of your way. Gotta plug in. I'll listen in just... Okay, sweet. So glad I caught your live, and I love your gemstone necklace. Yes, it is lavender-right. I recently got it from a store on Etsy, and I'll post those after I publish this and make it go live. I'll post it. Oh, sorry. What moral do you take before you cast a lust spell? It depends on the lust spell. To me, there are different types. Same, it's one of my favorites too. It depends on what type of lust spell. So when you say a lust spell, there's a lust spell to where somebody say they're trying to attract somebody. There's that, and then there's an actual like physical lust spell. For one, I ask, especially when it comes to sex magic or love magic or lust magic, I ask if both parties are consent. They have their consent. And sometimes they'll be like, no, and I'm like, well, you know, sorry. There's also self-lust spells. But basically I'll just kind of ask them, what's the point of this? Like, what's the things? And depending on the answer to that, I'll go forward with it. And then, you know, I tell people to be safe. Obviously, we're all adults here, so we need to be safe. Transparent, obviously. There are a couple of lust spells that I've set to where I'll set an extra guideline to make sure, because we don't know who we're talking to online, to make sure that nobody can be hurt, if y'all understand what I'm saying, without me saying something I shouldn't online. So if it were, say somebody were to get a lust spell because they had different plans to go against someone's self-consent, I'll have like a little loophole in the spell to where it just won't work. Or if you have the intent of doing something you should not to another person, the situation just won't happen to where it just wouldn't happen. There are a lot of some spells that I will not do for legal reasons are legal spells. Any situation revolving the law, revolving court cases, depending on the court case in itself, I don't like doing, because there are some states to where if that were to get brought up in court, I could also get brought up in court. So if you are selling spells and stuff like that, please check your state laws when it comes to witchcraft. Believe it or not, yes, there are some still states that you can be you can't, I don't think you can face like prison time or jail time unless you like fully rip somebody off, but you can actually be called into court for spells, curses, and hexes. You would actually have to take a judge to be able to take it serious, but there are recent accounts of people being sued because, the defendant was like, well, they hexed me. Love spells only work when the person already has feelings for you. Yes and no. I thought about looking into them for my own relationship, but we also don't really need it. That's why I like the Respark spell, because it just kind of resparks those things. Love spells, it depends on the love spell, and it depends on the witch, because there are domination love spells, is what I call it, which is making somebody fall in love with you. I hate those. I will not do those. That's why I developed the next chapter spell. So instead of making somebody fall in love with you, with the next chapter spell, you get a road opener, so it removes all the blocks, and then I'll need, I get details about, like, realistically what you see in a person. And then what that does, or what that spell does, is it helps bring the next chapter, bring the next person you're going to date into your life, but it doesn't force them to have feelings that they don't have. So your footwork on that one would be basically, putting yourself out on the dating apps and, putting yourself out there. When my friends are seeking legal stuff, I just tell them how to do it instead of doing it myself. Ooh, I do like that one. I may start doing that one. Ooh, I didn't even think about that. Thank you. And then there are spells to force somebody, basically the spells that most people don't. And one of the main reasons I don't like those situations is because a lot of the times it winds up getting twisted, and it goes to they love you to they're obsessed with you. And then what a lot of people don't understand with love spells is when you break up, you're still bound together. So what winds up happening is it creates that toxic relationship of the one time, one moment they're broke up, the next moment they're loving each other, and then the next moment they're fighting each other at the exact same time. Yeah. Hold that thought really quick. I gotta go check something. What do I keep hearing being moved? Okay. Sorry about that. I'm back. But yeah, what winds up happening is you kind of think of psychos in a way. It creates that very, very toxic work environment. But yeah, there are a number of different types of love spells. There's lust spells. There's sex spells. All different types. Hold on, let me close my window. Crazy. Well, she's not crazy, but the elderly lady who doesn't like any living fucking animal is outside, and I'm talking about fucking sex magic. By the way, sex magic is extremely powerful. And yes, you can do it solo too. No, you didn't freak me out. Oh, there's a but with that. um, and to anybody who hasn't, if y'all do have the app Discord, in my Discord there is an 18 plus, which goes over that. She'd definitely gossip. Um, no, she already knows I'm a witch because when I first got down here, when she talks to my partner, she won't talk to me. And that is because, and it shocked me as well, but she asked me, she's like, oh, I see you have black cats. I was like, yeah. And she goes, what's their name? And I was like, we got Stripes, aka Grandpa. We have Aphrodite. And she goes, ugh, why would somebody name a cat after that? And I'm like, who's going to tell her? Who's going to tell her? I just joined the server this morning. Oh, that was you. Welcome to Lotus Hollow. But yeah, we have like a podcast Discord. We have What Are You Reading? And it doesn't all, we also have Discord, or we have some of the servers where it's not necessarily about witchcraft. Like, what are your hobbies other than witchcraft? And like, the cool thing is never be afraid to ask a question, because you'll get so much help and so much advice from all different types of magical practitioners. And I love it. Like, I am in there every now and then. I at least try to, no matter what I'm doing, if I get a notification someone slipped in, I always try to, like, say, welcome to Lotus Hollow. Same name, or anyways. I think I freaked you out. No, you didn't freak me out. The last thing you said was, LOL, I hope I don't freak you out, but you never finished that. But yeah, the Discord, there's no such thing as a stupid question. We also have a section where you can like share TikToks and stuff. And even if I don't welcome you, everybody else normally will jump in. Like, normally there's a good morning text that, or a good morning conversation that starts. And it's just really cool. I love to see it, especially when like people start having conversations when I'm not even in there. It's really, really cool. There's no drama. And we also know that everybody in the Discord, we know how to agree to disagree and just leave it at that. Knock on wood, there's no arguments, no fights, or anything. YouTube and Facebook are the ones of my actual names. Everything else is a Lady Fang. I have my own server too. Oh, if you can, send me a link to your own server, because I did not know that. I'm always share what I'm doing because I get excited if some witchy work says I don't really have local witches friends that I talk to with regularly. Oh, I love that. And yes, I encourage everybody. Oh, there we go. Well, that was weird. Okay, restart it. But same. Like my YouTube, or no, my personal Facebook, I've added 5 people from TikTok that I consider friends, and I tell them, I'm like, look, if I add you to my personal Facebook, keep what you see on there to yourself, because my actual real name and stuff is on there. And then my PayPal is. My PayPal actually has my real name, but other than that, synonym of Fire Lotus the Witch. Even in my Discord, it's Fire Lotus the Witch. And there's only been one person who's accidentally slipped and used my real name. And the reason I like having a synonym, that's your Vegas, exactly, is the way that I see it, if somebody were to try to hex me or something like that, they would only have my birthday, if you've seen my videos, and my Fire Lotus the Witch name. But they don't actually have my information. So they're technically hexing that instead of hexing me. Which is one of the reasons I've never shared all 3 of my signs. Your Ascending, your Sun, and everything. I've only shared my Sun. I've shared it with y'all, and I've shared it in the Discord, but not on TikTok. Always watch how much information you put out about yourself online. If anybody finds my real name, oh well. Hello! Well, the reason I say that is because, like, if you do follow me on TikTok, you are about to see some videos that I've never touched on before. Which are some of my... how do I word that? Some of my wilder years, if we'll word it like that. Hold on. pissing me off today. Pissing me off today. Okay, I'm back. And I almost rolled through the thing. Thank you. But I'm gonna share a part of me that I think some people will relate to. That I'm kind of nervous about because I've never publicly spoke on this before. But it also shows how I'm not a saint as well. Do you channel? I wouldn't really call it channeling. I've never actually tried to like channel a spirit because normally if I have a contact with a spirit, it'll kind of just come through as I'm talking. Like when I channel my partner's ancestors, it just kind of comes through. But what winds up happening is I'll say things that I normally would not say or use terms that I wouldn't say, but they would. But I've never actually fully just tried on channeling something. But, yeah, so that's going to start changing, and I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do on my second profile. And then I've got to get my ass up and actually start producing podcast episodes again, because I've been on, like, a year hiatus. But, yeah, I'm hoping this weekend, and I know I've said this every single day, I'm hoping I can get the oils this weekend. My Dollar General has fucking sucked at keeping the oils. But, yeah. I think that's going to do it today because it is 1:28 and I have the prayer video to shoot, which is going to take like 3 or 4 times, and then I have to clean up a little bit and eat. My biggest thing is on TikTok. What the fuck to do? Honestly, same. Can I post a link in the... Of course you can! Same. That's my problem, is like I'm just running out of content because like everything's been done. So yeah, but I got a couple ideas for that I'm going to start doing. I've also got to start advertising more that I am a oracle reader. Because a lot of the people that have come for me or come to me for a reading, they're in a situation where either A, they don't make videos, or B, they can't publicly make one for me to share it because if other people see it, it could get them into trouble. But yeah, I definitely got to start advertising more for my readings and my custom spell work. Because all the money that I get from those either goes to like half the bills or buys my medicine and or buys other supplies like candles, oils, books, other things that I would need to keep this going. So it's all recycled. And I have a power bill to pay in the next 2 days. Fuck power, by the way. Fuck the power companies. I just wanted to say that. But yeah, and also always remember when doing research, use DuckDuckGo or Bing. And if you use Google, go to like the 8th or 9th page. Because if not, you're not really going to get information. And on top of that, doing research, you are going to come to a point to where you just don't find an answer. And you wind up finding more answers than before. Or you have more questions than before. And I mean, if you can't find anything, try meditating, tarot cards, oracle cards, stuff like that. And anybody interested in learning tarot, oracle, or anything like that, I actually suggest doing oracle first and then leaning up to that one. For 18 or older, it has a witchy roll. Ooh, sweet. We have one that, and then we also have in the Discord, we have a Hex and Jinx one. And there are a few other ones that I'm going to start making. This is why I try to go and recognize readings and go through books on Kindle. And see, that's what I'm like. Also, for the people that can't afford books, I'm one of them. Trust me, we in the same boat. V Library. I think it's called V Library. The letter V and then library. You can download PDF books and audiobooks from there, and they have a huge occult selection. And yes, I know a lot of people are like, well, that's taken away from the author. We're going around in a fucking pandemic. We live in a world where the world is getting more expensive than what's being paid and handed out for a person to survive on, so. So far, I only found one book where I like, nope, and stopped halfway through, and I was like, nope, bad book. I personally say if you do come across a bad book, DuckDuckGo, it's just it's a search browser, but it's an alternative one. Google, most of the things that come up on the first 2 pages, it's because they've paid for advertisement versus like 10 years ago where you actually Googled something and it came up. So they hide a bunch of like information. DuckDuckGo doesn't. And you'll get a lot more information from there. If you have a library card, can you? And yes, exactly. If you have a library card, try to go to a library. I mean, that's what we did before computers and before like everybody had their smartphones. We had to go to a library, pick a book, and then cross-reference that book with that book and that website, and yeah. Um, but yeah, I think that's gonna be it though. Like I said, I've got to do this prayer video, and then I also have to eat. And then I've got to pick up the living room a little bit. But I loved this live. This is probably one of the best ones so far. Um, I will be live tomorrow as well and Thursday around the same time. Friday, I probably won't be because if I don't go in with my partner, I'll probably use that for like a spring cleaning day. Of course, of course. And if any of y'all have any friends or anything like that, please share my YouTube. My goal this year, personal goal, is to break 1,000 followers on this page. And we're doing good so far. We're doing good so far. But yeah, until then, like I said, thank y'all so much for staying and watching and having the conversation. Thank you for all the likes, the comments, the shares. And yeah, if y'all ever have any questions, you can hit me up in the Discord, my Facebook page, my Instagram page, or my email, firelotusthewitch@gmail.com. So yeah, until then, I will talk to y'all and see y'all all later. Peace.